Good evening and welcome to the February 25th, 2025 meeting of the Spackenkill Union Free School District Board of Education. I'd ask that you rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our first item is 2.01, comments from the public on consent agenda items only. Do we have comments from the public on consent agenda items this evening? Any board discussion, comments, questions? Do we need to pull anything? Okay, that said, I'll entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as written.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Joanne. All in favor?
Aye.
And passes 5-0. That brings us to 4.01. I'll ask the board for a motion to open the public hearing on the senior property tax exemption.
So moved.
Do I have a second? I think Sasha won that one. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Do we have any community input on the senior property tax exemption? Do you want to do a little presentation first?
I'm just going to refer to the slide that's being displayed, which shows the current income limits that Spackenkill offers, and on the right side of the slide shows what we're proposing to increase those senior exemption income limits to. And that increase will put us more in line with the other school districts in Dutchess County.
Okay, any community input? Okay, I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing on the senior property tax exemption.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Sasha, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. So that brings us to item 5.01, which is a vote on the senior property tax exemption resolution. Do I have a motion to accept the senior property tax exemption resolution as written?
So moved.
We got Sasha on that one. Do I have a second?
Second.
Joanne, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that passes 5-0. So that brings us to 7.01, a draft budget presentation by our school business administrator.
Thank you. Good evening. This is the presentation of a couple of things, including the draft budget and the proposed tax levy. The agenda for tonight's discussion will be a recap of the current year's budget, a preliminary overview of next year's budget, a preliminary overview of the proposed tax levy to support that budget. I will discuss some of the key budget drivers which led to the proposed budget, along with the budget assumptions in creating that proposed budget. And we'll also review the proposed vehicle purchases, which would be funded through the capital vehicle reserve. The current year's budget of $53,938,245 represents an increase of 3.89% over the prior year, and the levy to support this year's budget, $33,086,739, represents an increase of 1.7% over the current year's tax levy. The preliminary proposed budget for 25-26. The preliminary budget is $57,168,788, which represents an increase of 5.99% over the current year. The proposed tax levy to support the budget would be $33,665,757, which represents a percent increase of 1.7% over the current year's levy. And that falls in line with the percentage increases for the levy over the past several years. The proposed tax levy is a 33,665,757. The current year's levy is 33,086,739. The maximum tax levy for 2026 that the district could impose is 33,941,093, which is an increase over the current year of 5.9%. Again, we're proposing a tax levy of 33,665,757, which is an increase of 1.75% over the current year's tax levy. The preliminary budget drivers for this year, these are the 5 largest components of the budget. So between salaries, health insurance, BOCES, retirement systems, and debt service, those 5 categories represent for 48,612,626, or 85% of the total proposed budget of 57,168,788. And basically that means 15% it covers equipment, supplies, and contractor costs. Of those 5 budget drivers, most of them are contractually obligated. The salaries are based on existing contracts and contracts that are ending in June 2025. Health insurance premiums are dictated to us by primarily DHIC. BOCES costs are our subscription to their services, and BOCES has increased their costs, and we also subscribe to more BOCES services. ERS and TRS retirement contributions are dictated to us by New York State, and our debt service is existing debt service that has been used to fund previous capital projects. Some of the budget assumptions gone into this, again, are the collective bargaining agreements that are currently in place and estimates for those contracts that are ending this June. There's an increase in cost of BOCES services, and also the district is increasing their participation in various BOCES services. The increase for special ed tuition is just based on historical trends, which is usually around 5 to 7%. The estimated increase in health insurance premiums, as estimated by our primary carrier, which is DHIC, is 6 to 8% for the coming year. And our debt service numbers are given based on the existing debt service with no anticipated additional borrowings. We're also proposing the purchase of 3 transportation vehicles, but again, those will be funded using a vehicle reserve that was previously established. Some of the other budget considerations are additional instructional and support staff. We're looking to add instructional support to support the AVID program in the middle school and the high school. We've also, over the last couple of years, we've increased the monitor hours at the elementary schools. Previously, those were funded using the Federal Reserve, the federal stimulus funds. Those funds are no longer available to us, so those increased hours must be rolled into the general fund budget. We've also made adjustments to salaries and our per diem rates to reflect not only the increases in New York State minimum wage, but in order for our district to remain competitive to attract qualified people. We're also proposing in this budget to replace outdated and poor performing facilities equipment, for example, snow blowers, salt spreaders, floor strippers, maintenance tools that are just need to be replaced. They're just outdated, not performing, or just worn. We're also proposing some classroom maintenance and repairs. We want to replace old and damaged shelving, window shades, and smart boards. The window shades are custom fitted and are fire rated fabric, so they can be custom measured and custom fitted for each of the windows in the classrooms. We're also looking for an increase in instructional needs to meet the new instructional standards that have been imposed by New York State. And now, especially with textbooks, it's not just the textbooks. Most textbooks have a software component that goes along with the physical textbooks. We're also looking for technology upgrades for data security and increased bandwidth. And the data security will hopefully strengthen our ability to resume operations in case we incur a disaster recovery scenario. The vehicles we're proposing to purchase is a 7-passenger caravan. According to a state contract, quote would be about $45,500. We're looking to purchase 2 30-passenger buses at $99,910 each. We are definitely looking to purchase these buses so that we will have a fleet that will hopefully carry us through the next 10 years, which is when, according to the current timetable, we have to be fully converted to zero-emission vehicles. So we just want to have a current fleet that will take us through that process. The vehicles that are proposed to be replaced are a 2015 Chevy bus, a 2016 Chevy bus. Both of those have a little over 65,000 miles, but they do have repeated maintenance problems, which we have gone to maintenance to try to fix, and the problems keep reoccurring and they can't be correctly identified and corrected. The 2016 Caravan has over 130,000 miles and is currently already been taken out of service by DOT. In order to purchase these vehicles using the capital reserve, it eliminates the need to borrow money for this purchase. A vote of approval is needed to use money from the reserve, so that would include a separate proposition which would be on the May 2025 ballot along with the budget. At the future meetings, the next meeting will be an updated budget discussion, which would include what a contingency budget would look like if the vote were to fail. On the 25th, Dr. Fannie Welly will present his recommended budget. The next meeting would be, we'd be asking the board to formally adopt that budget. On May 6th is the required public hearing, and on May 20th would be the budget vote, the vote on the capital vehicles proposition, as well as the election of one trustee. For any resident who's interested in running for the trustee position, there is information that is already posted on the district's website. Any questions, comments?
Anyone? Questions, comments?
I don't have a question, but just a quick comment. I appreciate all the effort that goes into this, as always. I know it's a big part of the job and it takes a long time. We just see it presented in sort of nice condensed form here, but appreciate all the work that everyone puts into this. It's a streamlined process. I appreciate the way in which we're able to move through this budget process with clarity and efficiency.
Thank you.
All right. So that'll bring us to 7.02, secondary administration update. Who do we have here? Sounds like we have some high school students.
Ms. Gerard's coming up.
I guess I'm on. Mr. Melkisher going to be here tonight, so I'm kind of taking over for him. We both really wanted to give you guys an update on what's going on with the Seal of Civic Readiness. And so if you guys remember, New York State implemented, or created, I should say, this initiative about 4 years ago, and we kind of jumped in about 3 years. So this is our third year with the Seal of Civic Readiness. There's a point system that goes along with it, if you remember from a presentation a couple years ago. So kids have to receive 6 points, and they can get those points from 2 different categories: civic knowledge and civic participation or civic action. The civic knowledge part is a little bit easier to obtain because You pass your social studies classes, you get a point. You pass your Regencies, you get a point. You pass, or you take an AP or an honors course, you can get points. It's the civic action part, the civic participation part, that's a little bit harder. So we've created projects for students to be able to complete that fit the criteria for them to be able to get the points in that particular category. And for us right now, our seniors are kind of the ones that are burdened, or not burdened, I should say, get to have the experience, the wonderful experience of getting to do 2 presentations their senior year. So, and these girls don't even really realize this yet. There's going to be another one coming up in another week that I'm going to be giving them. But they did a presentation for government, and it looked at giving them the opportunity to research a topic, a current events topic within their their communities, and then through that research offer solutions to maybe combat and solve the problem using the various stakeholders that are there. So we thought it might be a good idea for you guys to be able to see some of those projects and how they've turned out. So these lovely ladies are going to present tonight on the ethical dilemmas of AI, and they'll look at it from all kinds of perspectives, but education as well. I do want to just mention 2 small disclaimers for the girls, on behalf of the girls. The first one is the project is pretty big, so it's usually like a 40-minute presentation, like it takes the whole class period, but we wanted to be respectful of everybody's time here tonight, so they did scale it back quite a bit, so it won't be quite 40 minutes. And then the other thing is they did this presentation back in October, so their memories, much better than mine, might not be as sharp as they were back in October. All right, I'm not going to introduce them because they're going to introduce themselves. I'm going to sit down now and be quiet, but if you do have any questions at the end, ask. Do you guys need?
No, I haven't.
So, see, I'm going to be quiet now.
Along with the project, we get like a packet or website, and so we go
An
to
editorial.
an editorial. Yeah. So we get an editorial that we have to use, and we basically just cut it down for the entire class to read quickly, and we put it on paper. And to the back of it, like during our presentation, we had a QR code with an AI quiz. See if you could distinguish between AI-generated photos and real photos. So I'm just going to pass this out in case you want to take a look. But this we didn't write. This was just an editorial that we were given to base our project off of, and you can pass them around.
So good evening, everyone. I'm Trisha.
I'm Rachel.
I'm Maylee. And I'm Tabitha.
And this is our presentation on artificial intelligence in education. What is AI? Well, in essence, AI, or artificial intelligence, is intelligence exhibited by machines, computer systems, using a series of algorithms and codes. It stimulates human learning, comprehension, problem solving, decision making, creativity, and autonomy. The history of AI. AI began as a concept in the 1950s. The idea was to create machines that could stimulate human intelligence. A British mathematician, Alan Turing, proposed a Turing test in 1950 to see if machines could demonstrate intelligent behavior indistinguishable from a human. In 1950, John McCarthy, an American computer scientist, coined the term artificial intelligence at a Dartmouth conference. Researchers aimed to create machines that could advance reason and research. Overall, there was a lot of optimism that AI could solve complex problems quickly, but people were unsure of AI's limits. In the 1980s to 1990s, there was, in the 1980s to the 1990s, there was machine learning, which allowed computers to improve tasks through experience using algorithms, which became foundational, and companies and researchers invested in these systems. Fast forward to the 2000s when deep learning emerged, and companies started using access to large data sets, which helped accelerate AI's performance in complex tasks. And in modern day, we use generative AI, which is usually what we think of, which generates human text, human-like text, images, music, voices, and more. And it has improved AI's ability to understand and generate language. With increasing use of AI, more concerns have arisen. A main concern is loss of human control over technology. Specifically in the entertainment industry, there is potential for creative professions to disappear. A prime example of this is the writer's strike, which happened last year. Not only were writers fighting for better benefits and compensation, but they also had a part in the contract where they could not use AI or not allow them to write, or AI could not write for them. AI could also mimic celebrity voices, produce music, video, and writing. An interesting fact, in this year's Grammys, there was a Beatles song which used AI, and I believe it actually won a Grammy. Other concerns is losses of jobs across all fields and ethical issues such as lack of privacy. Now everyone has been waiting for AI in education. Some basic pros are AI-powered educational games, adaptive learning platforms, automatic rating and feedback systems, which is used in things like Google Forms. I know Mr. Ward uses them, but it automatically grades it for you, which is a big help. Chat boxes for student support. Usually we think of ChatGPT when we think of chat boxes. And intelligent tutoring systems. But with bad comes, with good concern, with good
With good comes
pros,
bad.
yes, with good comes bad. Thank you. Some cons include plagiarizing homework and writing assignments, cheating, reduced human interactions, and data and privacy, since big companies are using data now.
Okay. As for AI legislation, there currently is no formal federal legislation for artificial intelligence in the United States, and that poses many problems as the technology becomes more prevalent. There's a blueprint for an AI Bill of Rights, which was created under President Biden's administration. It's a proposed plan for regulating AI in the U.S., and it includes 5 principles that aim to protect people's safety and values, including safe and effective systems, algorithmic discrimination protections, data privacy, notice and explanation, and human alternatives, consideration, and fallback. And there's also the Federal Artificial Intelligence Risk Management Act of 2024. It's a proposed bill for the regulation of AI in the United States, and if it were to be passed, it would provide standards to reduce risks to people on the planet, give cybersecurity strategies to improve the security of AI, and to provide standards for AI systems.
So for state legislation, in 2024, 45 states and territories introduced artificial intelligence bills, and the majority of them also adopted resolutions or enacted legislation. Some examples include that in Florida, they provided grants to school districts to implement AI that supported students and teachers. In Hawaii, they required that the University of Hawaii implemented a program to develop a wildfire forecast system. And in New Hampshire, they created the crime of the fraudulent use of deepfakes. And deepfakes are deceptive manipulated images that are created depicting a person doing something that they did not. And then AI education and legislation. There's no formal legislation in the U.S. regarding AI in education, but despite that, about 3 in 4 schools do have AI policies, which may consist of the following: requiring students to run their work through AI detection programs, such as like Turnitin.com, and considering using AI as a form of cheating or academic dishonesty. This means that if students were caught, they would face repercussions. As AI continues to evolve, schools and teachers continually implement new policies about the use of AI. And then there's some statistics. The one on the left is about teens from 2023 that know about AI, and it says that of these teens, 19% say they've used it for schoolwork. This number would be higher because people would not want to admit that they're using AI because it is a form of cheating. Also, ChatGPT has become a lot more popular, so a lot more teens do know about it. And then on the right, it's just possible solutions that teachers are or plan on using to combat the use of AI in writing assignments, such as writing assignments by hand or having to do presentations along with their assignments.
So today, AI is being used in many aspects of our life. For example, in the healthcare industry, they're using AI to detect diseases in medical imaging, like tumors in MRIs and X-rays. Companies are also using AI for faster drug research, which is crucial for understanding diseases and new treatments. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, they were constantly using AI for vaccination renewal. AI is also being used currently like in our day-to-day lives. For example, many car companies like Tesla are using AI for self-driving cars that rely on sensors and navigate roads to avoid obstacles. Cities are also using AI to analyze traffic patterns, and this could reduce congestion and improve traffic flow. Retailers and streaming services like Netflix and Amazon Prime constantly use AI to recommend products and shows based on your watch list and your history with what you see and all. And virtual assistants are also used in many websites to answer questions. I don't know, but even in educational learning platforms, they also have a lot of AI assistants to help out if you have any questions or not. And even banks today are using AI to track transaction patterns to detect fraud. So we thought it would be really interesting if we got to know AI's opinion of AI. So we asked ChatGPT, what are your opinions about AI? And we found out that it only responded with positive aspects of AI. It said that AI could help, it could be used as a tool for creativity, it could help with learning and assisting in all different types of processes like data analyzation, but it never even merely touched on anything negative. And that way you can see there's an immediate bias in the AI. We also asked AI how often is AI being used in education and whether it would be a good tool or not. And once again, we saw bias there. It listed several articles that only focused on how students, teachers, and global educational leaders thought that AI could be helpful in grading work, assisting with teaching, and recommending videos and generating text. But it only simply went over in one sentence that it could be harmful and there are a lot of issues regarding data privacy and plagiarism. So again, AI is super biased. And then we wanted to see how well AI knows itself. Currently, a lot of professors and teachers are using Turnitin and AI detectors to see if students are actually turning in work that is original and not plagiarized. So we copied the Articles of Confederation that was written at a time where AI did not exist and pasted it into an AI detector. And it came out to be approximately 98% AI generated, which we know is false. So these AI detectors are not also completely reliable. So after discussing all this with our class, we believe that AI can be really helpful as an educational tool. There are many benefits. You could learn new things and help use AI to help you use AI to help you in just day-to-day tasks. But at the same time, it is really important for all of us to understand ethical dilemmas about AI, like plagiarism, liabilities, lack of privacy, and other issues that may emerge. So together we think that it would be really helpful if we had seminars where we all could discuss how to properly use AI so we are not violating it but using it to benefit us. And these were our references. Thank you so much for listening.
Nice job.
Hang on, there might be questions. Don't leave yet. Any questions from the board?
Interesting.
don't have any questions, but that was very informative. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys coming in and doing that. I'm sure your classmates found it informative as well. I would like to agree it'd be nice if we had something to try to go over with students the proper way to use AI and how to avoid improper use of it. Thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you.
Anyone else? A question? Do you talk much with your teachers about using AI in your classes? Has it become part of our kind of subject matter in itself? Are you talking about the way it works? Very informative. You've dug into this yourselves, but do you talk about this with your teachers in different courses? How to use it, how not to use it? Does that become a topic in itself, I guess, is what I'm wondering.
Currently in AP Spanish, like today and yesterday, we were doing a writing assignment that was about the uses of AI, like positive and bad, but in Spanish. The topic that we talk about in classes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even during the beginning of the year, we're all like told that we should be restricted with our use of AI and know that and make sure we're not violating it and not plagiarizing. And even in like our government class and my AP US history class, we do go over AI and how it's an ethical dilemma, and yeah.
And for your research papers, what did Ms. Oakley have you guys do?
We use Turnitin for our research papers,
Mhm.
and it basically says how much, like what percent of it is AI or forged, basically. And most of the people are in the green, but some people do turn up red, which means that you've plagiarized a lot of it or used AI. But Ms. Oakley herself is pretty good at knowing like what the student actually wrote and what they got
Mhm.
online. I don't think anyone's gotten seriously in trouble for it. I know one of the math teachers has her writing assignments put in AI because she's worried about forging that. You could probably talk about that.
Yeah.
You mean the work that you do as students?
Yes,
She runs it
she'll
through, yeah.
run it through. The discussion in our classes is more surrounded around like, don't use AI to plagiarize, like just the ways you shouldn't be using it in class. There's
Yeah.
not so much discussing how it works or how you can use it to benefit you instead of not using it for all the reasons that it can harm you
Right.
and your reputation and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, a kind of a forbidden fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as we all know, that can sometimes prompt curiosity
Yeah.
about that forbidden fruit. So I'm wondering if that might change over time. I'm an
Mhm.
educator myself, and so I've been trying to do a little bit more in terms of confronting the ways in which AI is used. It's around, it's not going away, and the ways in which it might be utilized in ways that are more productive. I think one of the effects of that can be to demystify it a bit, make it a little bit less forbidden
Right.
kind of thing, realize perhaps there are ways in which it's appropriate,
Mhm.
and
Well,
ways.
we're gonna get to a project, their final, where they are gonna have to create a product, and
Yeah.
come up with their own product. And so one of the things I do say to them, which we haven't done yet, is this might be a good opportunity for you to use AI to
Yeah.
help generate the idea,
Mhm.
but then you do all of the rest of the
Right.
steps on your own. So, it's hard to come up with like, oh, what product can I just create, right?
Right.
Like, they're
Get
kids.
you started. It can
It's
get
a
you
start,
started. It can
so
get
it
started.
gives you, might create a list for you, and then you take it
Mhm.
from there.
Sure. Yeah. But I particularly like the way in which you turned it around on itself and had it evaluate its own work in a way, or work that you knew wasn't AI generated, and in which it mistakenly assumed it was, or determined that it was. That's clever. That's a way of demystifying it and kind of exposing some of its problematic. And I like the word simulation that came up. That's the way I talk about it with my students sometimes. It's a simulation. It's not really thinking.
Right.
It's a simulation of thought. And in that respect, a bit different from other kinds of plagiarism, where you're taking ideas fully formed from someone else.
Mhm.
Here, no one's forming these ideas, really. They're getting
Yeah.
constructed in a sort of simulated way. And that's, I think, a useful distinction to think about. But very, very, very nice. Thanks. I appreciate
Thank
your
you.
approach. Your approach.
Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, I think to Richard's point, I mean, it's a great tool, right? But you can't always trust a tool. You have to have the user input, and you have to have some oversight of the output. So it's really important to always make sure that, if AI could be pulling from skewed sources or some other kind of false sources too. So it's it's not always going to be perfect, so you're going to have to always do your own oversight as well, so make it your own. But it's a good tool to get something started like that. I think that's a great idea to get something started. We used it recently. My website is just extremely old, and so I just put a couple pages in and just had it output. So that's a much nicer way of saying this. So hopefully someday I'll actually implement that and put it on the World Wide Web. But yeah, it's a great tool. So and we appreciate the time you coming out and explaining all this, and it was very informative. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you want to go, you can go, because you probably have work to do. Mr. Farrell is going to take a picture of you guys outside, if you don't mind.
Sure.
And thank you for coming.
Good job.
Mr. Gerard, get in the picture. And then you're going to duck it.
Great. Good job, all of you. Good evening, everybody. Just to kind of add on to the AI discussion, one thing that AI is great with is for teachers and instruction and lesson planning. AI is amazing. So, I mean, it really is. So, I mean, teachers are just starting to really work with it. But you can do so AI is, even though for students we're like, keep away, because but for teachers, AI is incredible. It does many things that are amazing in terms of, as a former teacher, things that would take me hours, literally, it would take me a weekend to do, you can do in a half hour. So it's pretty amazing, and the work it does in terms of that is great. So just something for AI out there. So I'm going to talk tonight about, well, first, thank you, as always, for having me here. And I thought I would talk tonight about the Sparrow's Nest volleyball tournament, which happened on Friday. But I wanted to first talk a little bit, the first slide, which looks very small. I know I didn't want to do a slideshow, but it's actually smaller than, but I think if you do the slideshow, the picture's going to get cut. But sorry that it's so small, but back in January, so everybody knows that Sparrow's Nest is a nonprofit in the area that supports families who have cancer in the family by giving them meals. And Todd Middle School, along pretty much with the Stadkill District, has always been a big supporter of Sparrow's Nest. And we've been doing the volleyball tournament here for, I think it started maybe in 2018, I want to say, 2017, 2018. And so most of this is going to be on the tournament, but before that, I just want to talk briefly, because through the tournament, the AVID students, the female AVID students in the 7th grade AVID class, got to do a radio podcast with Krista, who is the founder of Sparrow's Nest. And that picture that you can see, even though you can't really do justice from here, but those are the girls gathered together at the end of the podcast, which you can listen to. It was in the Todd Blast back in January. So it's an interview with them about social media and the impact on that. But it was just a wonderful opportunity, a great experience. They got to see how podcasts work, how to do edits. I mean, the whole thing. John Shanks was with them, and it was just it was a great thing. And Krista was very impressed. And like I said, if you want to, on your local Apple or whatever you use, Spotify, you can go back and listen to it. It's about an hour long, and they did a great job. And that picture is them kind of together at the end, because it was an emotional thing, and it was they just did an amazing job. And part of the AVID program is giving kids learning experiences and opportunities. Like they go to colleges, and that was just one that they had, which was very unique. And I wanted to share that because there was a connection with Sparrow's Nest. So I want to talk a little bit about the tournament, kind of what's involved and what we do. Yeah, then you can see them a little better close up, but it was a great opportunity for them. So the Sparrow's Nest, Spiking for Sparrows, like I said, it's been going on for about 7-8 years. The slides you're seeing are kind of the slides we used at a P2 virtual for the students, just to kind of see what's in behind it. So what we do is we have the students sign up. There's actually 16 teams that play, so all the grades, 16 teams. And they sign up during lunches. They can have a max of 10 students on the team. And there's a suggested donation because all of the money raised by Sparrows for the tournament goes to Sparrow's Nest. That was just a big thank you that they gave out to everybody. So it's important so everything's volunteer. So anybody who stays after school, it goes from 2:30 to about 6:37. So it's not 5 hours. And it's all volunteer. There are probably, I don't know, maybe 20 to 25 staff members here. And we all just volunteer our time, and it's for a great cause. There's a little bit that we share about it. Like I said, it's a charity organization. It supports families who don't have time to cook, and it gives comfort to families. And it's a great local charity that, as we all know, has got a great reputation in the area. Again, a little bit about the teams. They were. They made it that you couldn't load a team up with too many volleyball players. So you can see that 2 modified players per team only. So you couldn't have, the entire volleyball team on one team. So and you can have mixed grade levels, which we did. There's a sportsmanship pledge. There was a suggested donation, and then kind of the first 16 teams to sign up and get the money in are the ones that we go with, which usually, probably everybody, I think anybody who wants to play ends up finding a team one way or the other. And this was just some of the paperwork that we used. And then this was how it was run, which was, so we used to have it open to the public. And to be honest with you, it's pretty mayhem. It's a lot going on. So we had to kind of not have the public here because there was just too many people. Because it's so much going on because you have 2 courts, you have 2 games going on. You have them kind of going, there's like this kind of bracket system that Ms. Papo uses that they would use in other sports tournaments. And you can see that, there's a time limit because you have to get through so many games. And the games are mostly being, the referee for most of these are Marist students, which I'll show you pictures in a little bit, because they come. We do allow people to come to the event who are, if they're not playing, they do come to the event. They can come until 4 o'clock. We have a concession stand. They can cheer on. And then, like I said, we have Marist College volleyball players for a halftime spiking show, and they are also kind of guest coaches / refs, which is great. And you can see bottom there, watch the teachers beat the students, which did not happen this year. So we'll get to that. So here are the past winners. You can see there was a gap in 21 and 22 during the pandemic. And then these are these are some of the volleyball players that come from Marist, which is great. You can kind of see them coming from a mile away, kind of like the way you can see Dr. Fanuelli. Coming from a mile away, they're a bit taller than the middle school kids. And they do a great job. They do a great halftime show. The kids are really excited. They have a great time, the Marist students themselves. They have a great time coming here, too. The staff, like I said, the staff does a great job of attending, too. These are some pictures from past years. And then this final picture is going to be the picture of the winning team, along with the losing team. The winning team was Ryan's Raiders, which I think was named after Mr. Hannigan's. So we raised $2,226, which will feed 325 families for a week. So just for this one event. And then here is the picture that's pretty much done every year. If you look close, you'll see the winners and losers identify themselves by their hand positions. So yes, the Ryan Raider did beat the teachers, so the teachers went down in 3 games, which has happened before. So it's not the first time the teachers have been beat. But it was a great ending to a great tournament, and it says a lot about the community It's about the students, staff, and everybody involved, and I thought it'd be nice to share that with everybody. Thank you. It's great.
Thank you.
Nice. Very nice.
I didn't see you in the picture, Mr. Doherty.
Yeah, I'm not in
spiking.
there. Well, the teachers, they take it very seriously. I mean, they practice. Everybody practice. So when I say they lost to the students, they lost to the students because they're not trying to lose. So to answer your question, I'm not picked for the team. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
It was fun.
Thanks, Dan. Okay, that brings us to item 8.01, board correspondence. I don't have any. I don't know if any other board members have any. 8.02 is comments from the public on non-agenda items. Any public comment on non-agenda items? Okay. 8.03, comments from the board. Anyone?
Look at a couple. One, first, I guess I'd just like to acknowledge on the consent agenda today the prospective retirement of Mr. Malkisher. I'm sure we'll have plenty more opportunities to talk about him and with him. Look forward to that. You know, I read his letter. It's characteristically terse to the point, but certainly can't fly under the radar, you know, as much as he might try. No disrespect.
He's going to try.
Yeah, I know. I in fact even took maybe his absence here today as part of that.
No, he did have something. He did that was not by design.
But yeah, I thought he's not going to be able to escape.
It was not by design.
He's not going to be able to escape.
Or could have been, but it didn't sound like it was by design.
But I just want to acknowledge it. You know, he's meant a lot to the district, so much to the district, and so much especially to students throughout the district and at the high school for such a long time. So just wanted to offer my congratulations. You know, it's well in advance, but congratulations on the opportunity to celebrate opportunities. I hope to celebrate as we go along. So that's the one thing I wanted to say. And then the other thing I want to say is that there's upcoming next week another meeting of the Dutchess County School Board Association that I'll be attending, and the agenda is going to include a discussion of two items that the people who come to the meeting are being asked to share with the rest of the attendees at the meeting. The budget status, first of all, for each district, or each school rather, you know, in the county, each district in the county. So I certainly can offer the highlights based on the presentations that we've gotten about that, and offer a positive sort of picture of that. But then secondly, cell phone policies. So they're interested in getting a little bit of discussion going about what districts are thinking about cell phone policies. So again, I have a rough sense of that. We've heard a bit about that all along, but I thought I'd give you this opportunity to maybe frame that a little bit in a way that I can take to the others at the meeting.
Sure. You know, one of the goals this year is to look at that really through the lens. We're doing a few book reads, one with The Anxious Generation, Hidden Focus, or Stolen Focus is another book. And we're actually, the principals will report on that as we get later in the school year. But, you know, they're going to recommend practices for next school year. Now, obviously, the governor has you know, stated what she would like, so we're going to try to analyze all that and put something together, and we'll have that before the end of this school year, so we're beginning that next school. It's caused a little bit of buzz, you know, with the word ban. What does that mean? You know, so we gotta sift through that a little bit. Because it could be, you know, we've had a lot of success with off and away. But ban could mean more than off and away. So, you know, we're looking through that and we'll make recommendations. It's a hot item with the superintendents or with, you know, a governor mandating something.
Sure.
It's definitely an interesting time, but we were ahead of this. You know, we started, you know, having the discussion. I think the book really gave us kind of a mechanism to have discussions. Since the book's come out, there's been the opposite argument coming out and challenging some of the book's findings, and we're also looking at that. So we look at both sides. But I do think the consensus has been so far that we definitely want to limit it during school time. We want to find the best way to do that.
Has there been chatter bubbling up from the students? Said that there's a bit of a buzz as the.
I think the students
Students
are
starting to
understanding
talk
of
about
it. Mr. Doherty's still here, but it's more high school, but I think it does creep into the middle school. I think they've been, you don't have to talk, Dan, because I know you've told me, but, they've been kind of accepting of it here at the middle school. I think they know, but it doesn't mean they still don't have the urge to look or to be
Right.
part of it. I think everyone here has kids, or even ourselves. So, we've got to try to find what's best, for our kids, looking at the brain development of an adolescent and that sort of thing. Dan, do you want to comment at all, or did I cover it?
Yeah, no, I'd say so. I'd say just in terms of, say, students talking about what the governor's saying,
Yeah.
no.
No.
Middle school doesn't really get down to middle school students.
But they know you're
They got
talking
other
about
things
it, too.
got
They know
other
that-
things to think about. But in
They know the
terms-
administrators are talking about it.
Oh, yeah, well, I've been talking about it for a long time. And so myself, the parents, and the kids, we've been talking about cell phones for at least a lot since the post-pandemic.
Yeah.
Because, we've also kind of continued to get more restrictive over time each year.
Mhm.
So certainly, the idea that I think everybody, I think any student will say, do you think Mr. Doherty thinks having cell phones in school is a good idea? I don't think you're gonna find a student that would say yes. Or a parent, if they, because it's in the, it's in the class and stuff, so.
Right.
But in terms of the students kind of, hearing about the bigger picture, on middle school level, it doesn't really trickle down to that much.
Right. Good. Interesting. Well, good, thanks, I appreciate that.
Yeah, Richard, I believe Wappinger had that pilot program that they started, so it'd be
Yeah.
interesting to see how
Yeah,
that's going
yeah,
and what they
well-
actually did in that pilot program.
Yeah,
I don't know
sure.
if they're gonna get to you by that, but.
Well, I'm sure the Wappingers rep's always there, so
Yeah.
I'm sure there'll be.
Wappingers,
Discussion about
they
that.
tried the Yonder pouch after
Right.
students violated their protocols.
There, yes, right.
The Yonder pouch is that pouch
Yeah.
where you put it in and lock it.
The magnetic pouch.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm sure there'll be some discussion. It should be a hot topic, I imagine.
Yeah, I'm interested what the Wappinger
Yeah,
says about.
yeah, I'll follow back.
Yeah.
I'll follow back. Good, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ditto on Mr. Malkshire, that'll be a loss for us for sure. But I guess there's probably gonna be more to come on that at some point. I have nothing else right now, so that'll bring us to 8.04, comments from our superintendent.
Some nice presentations tonight, just to highlight them. I mean, Sparrow's Nest, it seems like Spectacles adopted them. There's always a lot going on with that. We definitely have some of our teachers who do the run to raise money. But just to see the enthusiasm and the kids wanting to give back and do something for a good cause, it's kind of what we see at Spectacle Kill. So it's just kind of nice to have it and thank Dan for presenting on that today, to kind of see it. It is a little bit of controlled chaos, but it is controlled. And then the seal of civic readiness. I don't know if Dr. Mulford wants to jump in, but that was something 3 years ago now. Yeah, do you want to talk about it a little bit? Because I know Dr. Mulford was very instrumental in us being really one of the first schools in Dutchess County to do it. But you want to talk a little about that?
I mean, thank you for that, but Jody Gerard is really the one who really set it in motion. And I'm just so pleased to see how it's grown over the course of the last 3 years. But, there's initiatives from the state, and sometimes we think it's a mandate, or we can do this or not do it. But she really took it on as something that would benefit our students, and you could see the evidence of that tonight. So I'm just really pleased to see the evolution of it over the last few years. So thank you.
Also, on your place area, there's a magnet, which we talked about
Yeah.
before. So,
Very nice.
as we know, this year is the 160th anniversary of the beginning of Spectacle as a district. On March 14th, at our superintendent's conference day, the board is definitely invited. for about 8 to 9:30, we're going to be talking about our 160th anniversary. We hope to have a speaker or two come and talk about what it is, and we hope to have a student performance or two just to kind of make it festive. Should be a good time. We have some drone footage. I think that's going to be part of it, and just to market, not a giant thing, but just enough to really talk about. 160 years. It's a long time. You kind of drive around and you see signs, hey, 100 years old or this, but then when you think of 160 years, a lot of times when people think of Spectrum, they don't think 1865, but that's when we started. So
Civil War.
yeah, the end of the Civil War. So we'll look for that next month. That's all.
All right, thank you. So that brings us to 10.01. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Anyone?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Thank you, and we'll see you on March 11th.